Law of conservation of energy says that for an isolated system, if I am talking about an isolated system, it means nothing can go out of the system, nothing can enter the system. So that is called isolated system. So whenever I am applying the law of conservation of energy, so I'll talk about an isolated system. Okay? So I told you that if I am talking about isolated system, then it means nothing can go out of system and nothing can enter in the system. So this is called an isolated system. For example, I am talking about a system in which I am having this block and I am also having these weights. In this system, I am having these weights. This is the block which is lying before me. I am talking about that. Now what I am going to do? Before doing, you must be aware of that law of conservation of energy says that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Only one form of energy can be converted to another form. But the total energy of the system remains constant. The total energy of the system remains constant. And I told you that I am talking about an isolated system in which nothing can go out of the system and nothing can enter the system. So with reference to that, it is said that energy can neither be created, that within, while remaining in that system, you cannot create energy, and even you cannot destroy the energy. So energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Yes, it is just changing the form. Now let us have an example. It is very important to understand this example, that how I am going to explain this. Please try to understand. Now you know that our body is possessing chemical potential energy. In our body there is chemical potential energy, okay, which helps you to do your daily work, whatever the work you are doing, whatever the job you are doing, or anything, walking, running, writing, etc., etc. All these works are done with the help of the energy which your body is possessing. Now this is the weight. When it was lying on the table, I am lifting that weight in upward direction like this. When I am lifting this weight, what type of energy is going to be consumed from my body? Chemical potential energy of my body. When I was lifting this, the chemical potential energy of my body is converting to kinetic energy of this. And when it is gaining height, what type of energy it is gaining? Gravitational potential energy. Okay, so what is happening here? Actually, my body's chemical potential energy is converting to kinetic energy. As a result of this body is gaining gravitational potential energy. So energy is changing, work is done. It is moving a distance in upward direction. It is moving the distance in upward direction. So I told you that whenever there is change in the form of energy, the work is done. So work is done in lifting it here, and I am hanging this body here. Now this body is possessing what type of energy? Gravitational potential energy. From where did it get that energy? From my body. From my body's chemical potential energy. I told you that my body's chemical potential energy was consumed, it was changing into kinetic energy, and ultimately it converted to potential energy of this body because it has been lifted up to a certain height. Okay? Now it has energy. Now this mass which I am hanging over here is having energy, gravitational potential energy. Now with the help of that gravitational potential energy, I can do work. This body can do work. Now what work it is doing? Actually, you know that when the force is applied, the body moves in the direction of the force. The force which it is being applied is in the thread. That force is a tension in the string. This mass is having the gravitational potential energy. This can do the work. Now this is applying the force through this thread on this. So when I am leaving this, I am releasing this, the work is being done. Okay? So distance is covered in the direction of the force. So what happened basically? Now please observe it very carefully again, that what is happening? This gravitational potential energy going to convert into what form of energy? Kinetic energy. The moment I am releasing it, it is becoming kinetic because it is moving, and as a result the friction may also be created over there. So in this system the friction is also created, the heat of the friction is also converted, and in the same way sound, you heard the sound energy is also produced, the energy is also converted into the sound. So these are the different forms of energy. But within the system, that energy will remain within the system. So total energy will remain constant. It is just changing the form from one form to another. So this is the law of conservation of energy. You can see that here is the pendulum. The bob of the pendulum is here. Now you can see that when initially it is at point A. Suppose this is the position A. The bob is at position A. You know that human body is having the gravitational, human body is having chemical potential energy. So, and I also told you that whenever the energy is converting from one form to another form, what happens? When energy is converting from one form to another form, work is done. I told you that work is done whenever the energy is converting from one form to another form. Now what is happening here? Here is the bob of the pendulum. What I am going to do, I am going to use my chemical potential energy to raise this bob up to a certain height. This is the initial position of the bob, which may be taken as that this is the reference position with reference to which we are going to calculate the kinetic and the potential energy. So at this level where it is hanging, suppose that the potential energy is 0. Although it has the potential energy with reference to the table, with reference to the floor, etc. So we are not talking about that. We are talking about at which level it is. With reference to this level, we are talking about the potential energy that at this point, say, potential energy is 0. So we are talking about change in potential energy, change in potential energy. Now I am using my body's chemical potential energy. While using my body's chemical potential energy, I am applying the force. The force is applied and I am raising it up to this level. Okay, up to this level it has been raised. What I did work. I did work against the gravity. Again, look at here. I used the gravitational potential energy and I raised it up to a certain level and I applied my force. That force is causing this to move. So you can see that when I was raising it up to that height, the kinetic energy is there. But now I have stopped at this point. When I have stopped it at this point, what is happening basically? Gravitational potential. I am talking about at this level. Say this is the level B. Say I have raised it up to the height B. When I raised it up to the height B, after this what I did? I released it. When I released it, it will start swinging like this. Now we are talking about it swinging and how the energy is going to convert from one form to another form. As I told you earlier that we are talking about a system, and I told you about the law of conservation of energy, that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Only one form of energy will be converted, one form to another form. The total energy of a system. So we are talking about this system. Within this system, we have to see that whether the energy is constant, what changes are occurring here. Well, so when I brought this ball over here, so at this point where I stopped this, so at this point the kinetic energy is 0, because when I was holding it at position B, it was at rest. So when it is at rest, the kinetic energy is 0, because you know that the formula for kinetic energy is equal to half mv square. So kinetic energy is half mv square. This is the formula. Here if the velocity is 0, it means the kinetic energy is 0. Now when it is at this level, so what is happening? Its potential energy is maximum when I raise my hand, as much I raise my hand with reference to that. So here the potential energy is maximum. You know that change in potential energy, we can say delta EP, or you can that GPE. I'm using delta EP, change in potential energy, because you can also use this or you can also use this. Okay, so this is mgh. The mass of the ball, say m is the mass. The mass of this ball is m. I am representing the mass of this ball as m, and h is the height. So when I am bringing it at this level, so its gravitational potential energy is maximum, and then can be calculated with the help of this formula. Okay. Now secondly, when I am releasing it, when I am releasing it. Okay, I got this maximum. When I am releasing it, it will start moving towards A. Why it is moving towards A? Gravitational potential energy. Because at this level I gave it the gravitational potential energy, which I gave it by working on it. Okay. Now that is the stored gravitational potential energy. Now due to that gravitational potential energy, it will be moving towards A. While moving towards A, during this course of motion, it is attaining the kinetic energy. The kinetic energy is increasing. The kinetic energy is gradually increasing, but height is gradually decreasing. The height is gradually decreasing, kinetic energy is also increasing as far as when it will reach at this point. You must remember that I am talking with reference to this height from where I started. So at this height, its potential energy will become 0. At this point, the velocity will be maximum. At this point, the velocity will be maximum because it will be moving with its highest velocity at this point. That is why its kinetic energy will become maximum for the maximum value of velocity. Now what happened? Will it stop here? It will not stop here. Why it will not stop here? What? G. Due to inertia, it will not stop here. Due to inertia, it will not stop here. It will continue its motion. Like if I am releasing it like this, so it will not stop here, but it will continue its motion like this. So this is due to inertia. And you know that inertia is the characteristic property of the body which helps the body in doing whatever it is doing. If the body is at rest, the inertia is compelling the body to stay at rest. If the body is moving, the inertia will help the body to move with uniform velocity. So due to inertia, it will not stop at A. It will continue its motion towards the next position. Say the next position is C. Now it will start moving towards C. Now you will have to see that when it will be moving towards C, what is happening here? Velocity will start decreasing and it will be attaining height because it is doing work against the gravity. That's why the velocity is decreasing, and velocity will gradually decrease. It means kinetic energy is decreasing. During this, the kinetic energy will be decreasing. When it was coming from higher to lower position, the kinetic energy was increasing. But when it is coming from lower to higher position, the kinetic energy will decrease because the velocity is decreasing. When it will reach its maximum height, say C is the maximum height. So when it will reach its maximum height, so at this point, its kinetic energy will become 0. Because you cannot understand that when it will come here, it will stop for a very short period of time, which cannot be calculated by us so easily. We cannot calculate easily that short period of time. So it will stop here for a while. We cannot observe it. Okay, it is stopping, but after stopping it, it will start moving towards here. So when it will stop at position A, the moment it will stop at position A, its kinetic energy will be 0 and gravitational potential energy will be maximum at that point. And then again, due to that gravitational potential energy, it will start moving towards position A. So in this way, you can see that when it started moving from A to B and B to A and A to C and then again C to A, this will be one cycle of this motion of the pendulum. Okay, this will be one cycle of the motion of the pendulum. So one oscillation or one vibration will be starting. If we are starting from A, then A to B, then B to A to C, and then again when it is coming towards A again, it will be one oscillation of this pendulum motion.